On his debut, Jarno Uppbeat wins at Spa.
It's Martinez in Montreal. David beats Goliath.
It's a true underdog story. John Evans wins at Mexico.
And it's Super Sam Corby who takes the PlayStation Championship.
FRA Ron Hart takes his first WOR Championship. He is your Xbox champion.
And Jake Benham is a two-time WOR champion.
Dobbin around the outside operated line. Shadow is contact again. Ron Hart is around.
Melanie, surely is going to win here at Abu Dhabi. He does.
15 races across 5 continents. From Brazil to Belgium and Bahrain to Britain. Soon this story starts. Across 3 platforms, hundreds will begin the quest. The quest in search of glory and the right to be called a WOR champion. Lights out, and we're racing in Season 12.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to WOR Tier 1 on the Xbox side of things. We're at the Mexican Grand Prix for round 9. I am joined by Joseph. Joe, I don't know, actually, I can never really remember which way to introduce you, my friend. But welcome along yet again, and hopefully we'll enjoy a better partnership than we did in Italy, where you did it all on yourself because everything went wrong. But welcome.
Either way, it's fine, Walter. Hello, everyone. Great to be here. Should the audio side of things be working this evening? Yeah, Mexico. Where we obviously had a bit of a breakdown last week. Certainly, you thinking it was a break week, and myself as well. I mean, 5 hours ago, I learnt of this race, and that is obviously because of the F1 Esports Challenges taking place this week. So obviously that helps our challengers contenders here this evening. But yeah, I'm doing amazing. Hope you're well as well, Warder, and I'm really looking forward to this one.
Now, this is going to be a huge one. Obviously, Shadow's moved to PC. He's still on 99 points. The takeaway from Bahrain was Alfie and Findian wasn't here. Alfie claimed no points. Harvey claimed enough to be within 5 points of Alfie. So this title all of a sudden is bringing a few more people into it. Square, obviously another one. He's only had 3-point scoring finishes this season. 2 of them have been victories.
Absolutely, and he's starting to look like a bit of an outsider in this championship. And there was word just a few moments ago of wheel issues, but he's managed to find his way into the lobby, I can confirm. So yeah, I really think Square is looking like an outsider, like I just said. And obviously with Shadow's absences, the absence last week for Findium and Alfie's pretty double trouble calamity as well. I think certainly he's got the capability to close up in the latter stage of this season.
Now, there are a few new drivers coming in to Tier 1 for this week. It's nice to see a couple of the Tier 2 guys coming up and really showing their worth against some of these guys. But I think a big piece of news that it's just come out just this afternoon, I guess, is obviously Chile is now driving for Visceral. Is that correct? Is that correct pronunciation? I'm not 100% sure. I do get a lot of these things wrong, but it's nice to see him back racing, definitely. But he's under a new name. Maybe this is going to take him to the next level.
So visceral, whatever, however you want to say it. We're not going to debate that for minutes on end. But yeah, certainly it's a small side over on Xbox. Certainly I know it's Loveland who's been around on the platform for a few years now at least. He's trying to make things happen over there. So hopefully by working with Jack or Chili, as he's known as, can really inspire something not only in WOR but tournament-wise as well. I think there'll be there'll be some sort of benefit from it. Perhaps not in the short term, but long term, I think it could be a good move.
Yeah, I mean, he's always shown glimpses of how good he can be, and I really do hope he takes this on and moves on, because you know he on his day he is as quick as a lot of the people on this grid.
Absolutely, and fortunately enough, I've been able to see Chile through some of the more minor leagues on the platform, but to be where he is now, it's a lot of hard work, it's a lot of dedication. I'm sure his next thinking will be challenges. He's not quite of age just yet, but soon enough, give it a year, maybe two. I'm not quite sure. I haven't really got my age facts down for drivers, but I think he'll certainly be there competing at a really, really high standard.
Yeah, and obviously with the likes of Harvey and Dark Killer, I'm trying to make sure I get all these people names correct. Obviously the challenges that are taking place this week, these guys are really going to be wanting to push it up that extra level tonight, aren't they? Just to show what they can do. Obviously they don't want to push too hard, they don't want to show the hands too much, but they also want to have some sort of push.
Yeah, they're not going to take it lightly, of course, but as we all know, WOR is a 50% format, whereas Challengers involves two 25% races, so it's not identical, but it's certainly a momentum builder, a confidence builder, and certainly with the setup as well. Any final tweaks regarding Challengers can be made tonight into tomorrow as well, so yeah, of course, there's plenty of Challengers faces on this grid, and so I think they'll push on, but they can learn a lot from it.
They certainly can, and maybe they can, play a few mind games with some of the ones that are in here as well. Maybe just throwing it up a little bit too close at certain corners. These guys know what they're doing though. But we're just waiting for the guys to get themselves into the lobby and everything to set up and ready. Early doors. I mean, looking at that grid, who would you say could take victory here tonight?
Oh, it's a difficult one. It really is. I do really fancy the likes of Square, obviously coming off the back of that impressive 19th to 1st victory, I believe it was, in Bahrain on the alternate strategy. He's capable of a lot of things, that guy, and it was a name I mentioned back in Monza, I believe it was, as well. So hopefully Square can have back-to-back race wins this season for his sake, but also looking at the likes of Alfie for obvious reasons. Again, he wasn't able to capitalise on the Shadow's switch to PC last week as well. A spin after contact with the Alpha Tauris up at turn 4 in Bahrain, as well as a late race wheel failure, it looked like. Alfie, again, just needs some points, needs to pull away from Findeyum, who I believe, if my... yes, there he is, right at the bottom of the time screens at the moment, but he is here and will need to start looking away from pulling away from both him and Harvey as well in this race. Very crucial.
Very, very crucial. Harvey's no slouch as well, but Findium has shown this season he is an absolute, he's come out of the box fighting, and there's been a few occasions when he hasn't turned up, which has cost him obviously points, but Alfie in those races as well hasn't taken full advantage. And the only one that's really been consistent through it all with just point scoring positions is Harvey. I'll give him that. He's doing really, really well just on a consistent basis. He's not got the general speed, but he's just getting the points when he needs to, and that's why he's now effectively in this title challenge. But qualifying is underway. We've got FRA Elite 45 in the Red Bull to the first driver to set a lap time. New into the Tier 1 side of things. It'll be interesting to see how he can go up against LCR Leopard, his teammate for tonight. One of the most decorated drivers in league racing. He's got a wealth of knowledge. He's incredibly quick, really good wheel-to-reel racer. But unfortunately, the only podium he got last season was here at Mexico, round 9 in season 11. So he might be able to do something special here tonight as well. But about his teammate, he's obviously faster in Sector 1 because that's, first driver to set a lap time, but he's looking quite smooth at the moment in the Red Bull.
Indeed, and you mentioned Leopard as his benchmark tonight. He worked alongside Ronhar last week on 2 occasions for both the SRC and I believe it was Big Twos on Friday night. So he's been working alongside Ronhar now as well. So his quali pace does stand out to me. Early penalties, I think, deceived him a little bit, particularly in SRC. But Elite, round in the final corner now, certainly has a lot of knowledge at his young age, and it's a 1:13.7 to kickstart the Mexico City qualifying.
Darkkiller's a 1:15.4 on the slower compound tyre, but this is the man really we should be worried about on the early doors on the mediums. As he crosses the line, WR Alfie, what can he do? It is a 1:14.9, so 5/10 clear of his challenger rival, of a challenger rival of Darkkiller. But let's go on board with the VSR Jack as he's invalidated a lap. WR Connor, he's invalidated. WR Wilson, he's on a lap. Let's see how he can do. He's just finishing this lap.
Yeah, into turn 14, then underneath the stadium section of the circuit. Very, very picturesque, certainly in real life now, round in the final corner of turn 17, and Wilson gets on the board with a 15.6. Melanie as well over the line with a 15.595. It's looking very close so far on the mediums, but the track does look cold. It's overcast, and so certainly a switch to soft tyres will be seen later in this session, but at the moment it's Elite that sets the benchmark still.
Yeah, he's quite clear of the rest of the guys on the medium compound tyre. And speaking of medium compound tyres, Viper is on a lap going through Sector 2, that tricky section between 7 to 11, which can cost some people at, with the corner cutting penalties. And Viper nearly goes wide out of 12, but manages to hold it in enough to not invalidate his lap time. What can Viper do? We've not really seen the best of him this season. Well, I know personally that he's a very, very quick driver for the pad, and he comes across the line on 1:15.8 there. But he's just, maybe not the best from him, unfortunately.
FRA JJHN, otherwise known as Jed, crosses the line in P2. 6/10 off his FRA teammate of Elite so far, but 2 laps done on those soft tyres. I don't think he'll be too concerned about that at the minute. But Viper, as we just saw, finished P5 last time out in Bahrain. He's certainly capable of a good point total on the pad as well. It's great to see pad drivers like him thrive, of course, as a fellow casual pad user, and I'm sure a lot of viewers can sort of relate to this. It is possible, and Viper just having a little bit of a detour at the moment, letting the fast drivers through, well, certainly on fast laps, that is, as certainly avoiding a penalty at the moment. Yeah,
someone that we've barely spoken about so far, Clenzo. He's had a little bit of an up and down season, but someone that I hold in quite high regard, really, because he's got some real good pace. Sometimes penalties cost him at certain areas, but he's doing it's looking like it's a little bit quicker than Vipers through that final sector, the lovely stadium part of this track. And across the line for the AlphaTauri driver goes, and it is a nice 14.2, but still some way off Elite's time.
I think this is just showing how good of a banker that was from FRA Elite. Certainly a 13 is impressive, but to be 5/10 quicker than anyone else at this stage means that the chasing pack in this session, if you like, have a lot to do if they want to challenge that pole position at the moment. Laps have been set on soft and medium tyres at this moment in time, and as we approach halfway stage in the session, can't quite validate that. 11 minutes, just caught it there under the yellow flags, of course, but yeah, still Elite, mighty impressive. Spin for his teammate Leopard, just to interrupt there.
That's not what Leopard would have wanted. Currently P11, but Elite is back out on track on a fresh set of softs by the looks of things as he bounds down into turn 1, and that's something that's going to be really interesting when it comes to the race, how people take that. Well, it's over 800 meters from turn 1, from pole position to turn 1, and he's invalidated his lap time, and I think M-Racer has as well. what about Placky? He hasn't. Let's see Placky. And this race last season, you know, Shadow was hunting down some big points because Ronha was, I believe, made a mistake somewhere, and he was trying to capitalise on Ronha's mistake to try and claim or get himself into the title fight a bit closer. And then I mentioned at turn 2, all he needs to do is just not get that penalty, and within seconds he got that penalty. It was literally within half a second, if something like that. And he probably wasn't Shadow's best friend at that point. But enough about Shadow. He's not here anymore. Placky's trying to set his lap time, coming through into turn 12. DRS wide open, breaks a little bit. Well, he takes enough of that curb, actually, so it might be quite a good lap, this, for Placky.
Does indeed, and again, through the stadium section, taking a nice chunk of the inside curb there. Now round to the final corner, will hug the inside, minimising the distance, and he goes onto the front row. Really good lap there from FRA Placky, and he announces himself in this pole position fight as we now officially approach halfway in the session. Oh, and VSR Jack on his first outing for VSR finds himself, fortunately, pretty damage-free on the exit of turn 11. Big spin for VSR Jack. That is how demanding the S sections can be. Oh, and would you look at that? If a big impact didn't remove any of his tyres, the lightest tap on his rear left does.
Oh, that is not what you would have wanted at all. Poor VSR Jack. As looking at Alfie's point of view as he tumbles down through Sector 2, and he's purple. He's up 0.6 on his time in Sector 2, and then he slows right down. So something he wasn't happy with, Alfie, there, as Moritz goes P2 with his time of a 13.7. Harvey, a 13.8. The times are starting to tumble.
They are starting to tumble as the track just grips up ever so slightly. Perhaps the temperature's just increasing a bit as well. 2D also falling victim of turn 11. Great to see 2D here this evening for the first time, I believe, in WOR Tier 1. Just getting to grips with perhaps the pressure, the strain of seeing all these talented drivers on a different level. To be honest with you, seriously impressive what these guys do. But like I said, Ferrari 2-3 at the moment. Moritz, who's gone through a great run of form recently, P3 at Canada and a P2 in Bahrain. Could he possibly go one better this time around? I mean, I'm sure he wouldn't complain.
No, I'm sure he wouldn't at all. And I think I've just seen Viper blocked on his lap time. He's not going to be happy with that at all. Will he go again? Because I say blocked is a harsh word. He was rounding into the stadium, and it just didn't work out for him with the amount of cars that are in and around that area at the time. Who else is to set a lap time? PSR Square then. Let's have a look at him as he is ahead of this train. I wonder how he can react to the likes of Elite, Moritz and Harvey at the moment.
Absolutely. Oh, and just as we say that, it's WR Alfie, unsurprisingly, to the top of the timesheets, down to a 13.5 now. It was a long-standing provisional pole by FRA Elite, who's now on his outlap as we speak. But an impressive benchmark from championship chasing Alfie. And while we watch the likes of Finder Young prepare their lap, as well as, of course, Harvey as well, who's just completed one. His main chasers, if you like, that's a big statement from the second placed man in the championship, who could well inherit the lead should results go his way.
Yeah, he's definitely looking for it as a Square. Little bit of a back end wobble as he comes through 14 and 15, but is it going to be enough? Darting down the line, it's a 13.6, and I think he's going to think he can claim pole if he can sort that back end out at the end. Where is LCR Leopard? He's just about to finish his lap time. What can he do? Hugging the line, it's a 14.1, so 0.6 off Alfie's time at the moment. What can WR Matthew do? He's just about to start his lap, or he's just started his lap, I should say.
He has into turn 4. He goes in the Haas, quickly followed by turn 5. And then, of course, you are met with a wall of fans into a slightly smaller stadium section, but a large presence of Mexican crowd here. Just 2 days following the first ever Mexican pole in Formula 1. It's pretty fitting that we come to Mexico City. That was something lurking in my mind a little bit earlier on today. But Matthew, Now, 3 seconds up on his time of a 20.5, of course, but he's invalidated on the exit of turn 12. It's so easy to do. Now, the question is, will he come back into the pits and try and go again? Because the pressure is certainly on WOR Matthew if he seeks a good qualifying result here.
Yeah, such a shame for Matthew there. And it seems inevitable that some of these drivers are going to get invalidations. Let's see what Findium can do as he rounds into this stadium section. He's looking quick at the moment. He was up on his sector time, but I don't think it's going to be enough to challenge Alfie or Square. But he just needs to make sure he gets points this week to keep up. It's only a 14.3. His qualifying pace really darted off at the end there. Who can we go on board with? It's just about to finish a lap time. Melanie looks like he's going to do something quick here, but it's only a 14.1, just ahead of his teammate.
Good effort there from Melanie, you have to say, coming up into Tier 1 as, I believe, the Tier 2 champion, if my mind hasn't deceived me. But Melanie, who's really showed what he's capable of. Obviously, it was pretty much a Christmas break that separated his Tier 2 campaign to now Tier 1, but he sits 10th in the championship, 2 P4 finishes this season as his best results. Can't really go wrong with Melanie's efforts this season, and he's still showing why he is capable of this tier and capable of competing with WOR Tier 1 as 2D rounds the final corner on his debut. It's 16th at the moment, a second off the pace of Alfie, who is now on his outlap.
Yeah, let's see. Harvey has invalidated his lap early doors as well. That's not going to be good for him. Dark Killer has invalidated his lap time, so he's going around. Again, Matthew does not want to go again. He is happy starting from second last, and Viper's just ended his race. He obviously frustrated with that. Yellow flags galore. Everyone really not doing what they want. Findium retires. He's not going to do any more. Wilson then. Wilson's on a lap. Let's see what he can do.
Yeah, absolutely. And Wilson, who's opening DRS for the second time now, as there's a stricken Alfa Romeo there. Did just want to mention a lead quickly. It was such a strong lap, finding time on that lap that was good enough for a provisional pole for a while. But unfortunately, out of the final corner, picking the back end. And ultimately, he aborts, comes into the pit lane. So I wonder now if he can get out again for one final run.
Yeah, I think he's just got enough time. There's not. This isn't a long track, thankfully, in his case anyway. But Wilson rounding the final corner of Sector 2, really well, the entry into Sector 3, I should say, into the stadium, doing everything he can into 16, into 17. He's a little bit too tight early doors on it, so I think that's compromised him a little bit. But it's stayed P8. He hasn't been able to improve on his time. Where is Colenso? Is he higher than Moritz, or is Moritz just behind him? No, Moritz is further down. So let's see what Colenso can do. He is being chased vigorously by his teammate Connor on his lap.
Yeah, I'm sure Colenso would fancy a little bit of a fight with Squares. Is his individual battle in the championship for 5th place at the moment. But watch the AlphaTauri driver. We watch the other one go up the inside as the rain begins to fall. Jesus, it's all happening with Colenso at the moment. He invalidated on the exit of 11. Will he be able to go again, as now the track starts to just greasen up a little bit with the falling rain?
Now that was something. I was going to bring this up. I was going to bring up wet weather. And I wonder if this means that, the race is going to start wet. I know it's very rare that this is...
Oh, Square. Oh. Heart in mouth. Turn 7.
How did you save that?
I have no idea. Could not tell you, but he was about a 10th up, I believe, coming through the first sector. And so it's been really unfortunate with the rain, it seems. Just wiggling that back end a little bit more than it was earlier. But yeah, unfortunately for Square, it looks like he'll have to settle for second at the moment. But I'm not sure anyone can beat that with the racing line starting to dampen.
Yeah, it looks like a lot of people. There's a few outlaps for a few people, but I don't think it's going to happen. And, I mean, Alfie is currently provisional pole. Elite's coming into the pits. Where is Alfie? He's 9 seconds down on his lap time. He's not going to go any faster. Clenzo will not be going any faster. Harvey's in the pits. Moritz is in the pit. It's a good showing from the Ferrari guys. Really good showing from those two. 4th and 5th place there. Really interesting to see how that one will pan out.
Absolutely, and though it was a bit of an anticlimactic end to the session, it's Alfie with the crucial pole position. Of course, he did take pole last week as well, although that was quickly ruined by a 5-place grid penalty, ultimately leaving him in a bit of a midfield fight, a bit of a comeback that had to be made, which unfortunately left him spinning up at turn 4. So fortunately for Alfie, no grid penalty this time around, but more crucially, it's the 890-metre run down to turn 1 that he's got to watch out for. Start is crucial, evading the slipstream also crucial.
Yeah, and I'm sure we'll talk about whether you want to be on the start, well, second row or first row, but it is Alfie on pole with Square alongside him. Elite in 3rd, Moritz in 4th. Harvey starts the 3rd row of the grid with Colenso. Burraps in 7th. 8th is Wilson. Placky in 9th, and Connor rounding out the top 10. Outside of the top 10 is Leopard, Mel, Dark Killer, FRA, JJHN, Findium, M Racer, 2D, Viper, Matthew, and VSR Jack. Now, you know, a very interesting qualifying session, especially with that rain in the end. But is it kind of what we're expecting from Alfie and Shadow to be to be up that high?
Absolutely. I mean, if you're not putting fake money on Alfie getting pole, you're missing out, in my opinion. But Alfie showing what he's capable of yet again. But it's now the race. He needs to have that bit of luck as well. Hopefully no wheel issues denying him of at least a few points, as it was last week. Well, I think this is really anyone's game, as the sky is clear and the strategy opens up.
Yeah, the sky is it's a lot nicer than it was in qualifying. It was very overcast early qualifying. We didn't even speak about rain until it started. Just having a quick look at the standings. Obviously, Alfie's got a major chance here, but a quick thought on who could possibly take victory tonight. Have you got an early punt on it?
Oh, I would back the pole sitter Alfie, but in all honesty, should I go outside the box and say even Leopard? You know, it was his only podium track last season. He starts P11 on the alternate strategy. Should we have a punt at Leopard? Let's go for it.
Why not, indeed? Why not? Right then, let us... Well. Round 9 sees WR head to the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez circuit here, home to the longest run down to turn 1 of the opening lap on the calendar. In Season 11, history was made. It was the first time that the Tier 1 race winners had ever taken in a WR Tier 1 race. Could we see a brand new WR Tier 1 race winner tonight? 17 corners here tonight then, 7 to the left and 10 to the right. It's over 800 metres down to turn 1 from pole. I can imagine a few of these drivers are quite happy being on 2nd or 3rd row of the grid. Some fresh names on the winners list here, but some of the old favourites as well if you look a little bit further down. Ronha Square, Connor battling away into turn 4, going 3 wide on multiple occasions with Ronha even trying quite an audacious switchback through turn 6. Then White Bulls emerge victorious in the PC Tier 1. We'd been given the new livery for the Red Bull in the Mexican Grand Prix, and it was a good omen for Thomas, Harvey and John Evans as they ran 1-2 despite continued pressure into turn from Jarno Opmeer. Some great defensive driving early doors from John Evans. But we're back here, ready for the race. Chat, hit us up what you think, who's going to take victory here. I mean, you've taken a punt on Leopard. I want to take a punt on Leopard as well, starting from 11th. That's a great position to start with here. Let's have a quick look at the tyres. Everyone outside the top 10 on mediums. What a surprise.
It's not surprising at all, of course, but now that we've both taken a punt on Leopard, will that backfire, or can he do the business there? There's a lot that lies on his shoulders being in P11. having to take command of the medium runners, the medium strategy, but it was the reverse strategy that won last time out by PSR Square, who joins Alfie on the front row here in Mexico City.
Yeah, we are nearly underway. Let's have a look at the last driver to set in his position. Chile, or now known as VSR Jack, pulling in, nearly ready for lights out at Mexico City. They are all in place. We're waiting for the lights. Here they are. 3, 4, 5 red lights. And WR, Mexico is go. Somehow it is, well, it's a pretty poor camera angle, but it looks like a really good start from the second row of the grid. Square has to go really defensive to come into Alfie. Moritz and Harvey attacking straight away. Alfie somehow still holding the lead, but Moritz is having a go on all of them. Square up the inside of Alfie. I don't think he's going to have enough traction through 2. He doesn't. Square has to sit back behind, and somehow Elite holds off Moritz for the time being. Elite actually is attacking Square.
It's indeed, and Moritz, who we've mentioned in a great run of form at the moment. Elite trying to go around the outside of Square, who was attacking Alfie at the first corner. Suddenly, it's Elite taking command of second position, and maybe he'll try and think about fighting Alfie, but for how much longer, as Square's back up the inside at turn 6 and wheel to wheel into turn 7. Never usually an ideal place on the circuit as Square's back end steps out ever so slightly. Great opening lap battle there between Square and Elite, who leaves Alfie well, already a second out in front.
Alfie could not have wished for a better start. In the background, Wilson and Connor changing places as well. Moritz unable to make that early pressure count. But Elite, great start to this race. What a positional overtake on Square in the end as well. And really attacked him into turn 1 and 2. And, well, everywhere on the track, even though he was under pressure from Moritz and Harvey. It looks like Harvey could lose a place to Colenso if he's not careful. He needs just to keep calm, as is the Ferrari driver. But Alfie has had an absolute, well, since the first corner, has just driven away.
Yeah, and you have to say it was well defended into turn 1 on the opening lap as well. Easy to get a bit bogged down in the 900-metre run to turn 1. It's the longest main straight bar Azerbaijan, I believe, on the F1 calendar. So, indeed, Alfie has done well to keep the lead there, and so much so, he's pushed Square into that position where he had to defend from Elite, and that is pretty much how he's built his opening lap gap. He still extends it halfway through lap 2.
Yeah, looking at it, no positional change for Leopard. He's holding station in 11th place on those medium compound tyres. Let's have a look at those tyres. There has been a few swap around. Darkkill and Findium up a few places. Viper up 3 places. A great start from him, but unfortunate for 2D. He's down 3 places. M-Racer down 2 places as well. So not much movement in the top. Placky and Wilson are the only other swappers than Elite and Square in the top 10. Alfie still trying to command this race and pull away a little bit more.
Yeah, plenty of battery being used by WOR. Alfie down to 20% now after just 2 laps. That is how crucial breaking the DRS is, and Elite already down to 10%, sorry, as well early on here. Yeah, a lot of battery being used throughout the field, and it is a game of battery management here, as Mexico does take a lot of it in. Even if you aren't really pressing the overtake button down the main straight, you do tend to just drain it and drain it and drain it, and with it being full throttle for a decent portion of the lap, not really many opportunities to gain it back so easily.
Yeah, I think it's got some ridiculous full throttle for 77% of the race, and that is just shows how much, well, how much pressure is on a lot of these guys to perform and do well. But Alfie still sitting about 1.5 at the moment. These guys have got to think about saving some ERS for later on in the race, though. But I'm sure that is not going to be the case. I've just stuck on board with the Ferraris. They seem to be the perfect position at the moment, because both drivers having well, a few drivers behind and a few drivers ahead. But, you know, with Leopard in P11, not really losing too much to Connor at the moment, he's in with a really good shot of another podium here tonight.
Yeah, I do hope so, because that's really all he's been merited for. You know, he's earned that particularly well, and we're in P3 at the moment, occupying a podium spot, now putting Elite under pressure, who does not have DRS at this moment, of course, now that it's enabled flashing lights on the Red Bull square, just easing off on the run down to turn 4, just to try and gain back some of that ERS he's been using, pushing and defending early on.
Yeah, he's got to be careful though, because that's what he did to Alfie and just held off, and Elite took full advantage of that, and Moritz got very close to the back end of square into turn 4 and could cost him. You know, I'm not saying Square isn't thinking of the long game, because that's by any means of them. That's not what I'm saying. But you know, he's got to think. You know, he doesn't want to get stuck behind another driver when Alfie is just managing that gap to Elite in second place.
Absolutely. I was just inviting VSR Jack back to the session. I'm not sure if he's intentionally out of the session or not, but running down in P20, Ghosted and his AI controlling that Mercedes, of course. Yeah, it was a miserable qualifying, crashing out late on. He has seemed to have joined back, but meanwhile, here comes PSR Square again, backing off towards the end of the 1.2 kilometre long start-finish straight. Really biding his time here. It's a strategical game is Formula 1, both in real life and behind the virtual wheel as well, where it looks to utilise the battery-saving tactics.
Connor has lost ground to Placky. Wilson has lost the position to Burraps as well. And Connor is in a little bit of a no man's land at the moment, losing ground from these top runners. And that's probably not what he would have wanted at all. Square still trying to keep up with Elite. Elite seems to have a perfect middle sector that just holds him enough to have him down, to keep ahead of Square down the start-finish straight.
Absolutely. As intervals break on us slightly, but we can see with our own eyes, Square is still there and still ready to pounce at any moment. So I think Alfie just turning down the wick, and Square really raising his game there, pushing so hard through the final corner. His rear end stepped out twice, somehow saving himself yet again. We saw it in qualifying from PSR Square, the most recent race winner back in Bahrain. Really fighting this Alpine today, though it is equal cars. He seems to be favouring that tail-happy rear end, really giving it everything at this moment in time. 6 laps in, it's still as it was pretty much after the opening lap.
Yeah, he lost it a little bit out of turn 3 and had to take a little bit of evasive action, which possibly cost him a chance at attacking Elite down into turn 4. But Alfie's not really pulling away from Elite anymore. Elite's closed that gap. It's only two tenths, but it's enough to possibly start getting into Alfie's head about having to push a little bit harder.
Alfie, I don't think pressure exists to him too much, but he's running so low on ERS, down to about 5%. He's maybe trying to make the most of this soft stint, switch into a audacious 2-stop strategy maybe. I mean, hard for laps talking at the moment, obviously not that early, but Elite, yeah, that's been his main downfall in recent races, that he's competed in at a high level early penalties. 3 seconds to his name already. Now Square will think about it to the right hand side. He's seen the penalty beside Elite's name and he has no ERS to even try and defend that position. Square up into P2 now and very nearly in the DRS of Alfie.
Yeah, that is a big amount of time attacked on Alfie there, and he's pushing even further. Dark's getting a penalty, and he's within that DRS range. He's just got to hold this for the rest of the lap, and then Alfie, for the first time since turn 1, is going to be under pressure.
He is. A few lockups towards the rear end of the points as Leopard puts Connor under pressure, and there's a spin as well, and it's Dark Killer. And Pro Driver looking to try and rectify the confidence, rectify the setup before challenges tomorrow evening. I don't think he'll be too happy with himself for a spin. There might have been contact. I'm not going to jump into conclusions too much, but now we're starting to see the fight for the lead form. Square versus Alfie is coming up.
Yeah, Viper now up another position because of Dark Killer's mistake, as is Findium as well. And Square getting the fastest lap of the race, a 1:16.744, and Square is now attacking the race leader of Alfie. Elite is still trying to keep up with there as well, and Dark Killer getting a huge penalty. Could see a retirement very soon.
It could indeed, and the very kind WOR admin making a great point there. Square, obviously, we've seen him sliding around ever so much, and he still is doing as we venture into the Alpine onboard. He's running a lot. Well, low downforce, high straight line speed, and he's really making the most of it. Obviously, surprisingly, Mexico with its long straights, you do need high downforce to obviously compensate for this middle sector, where it's very high speed as well, very high downforce needed. Square, it seems, go for the low downforce to try and make use of it on the straights.
And you can see how much closer Elite gets to Square in that second sector. He's well, even in that the stadium sector, he's already just pushing that Alpine around a little bit. But I'm sure that advantage is going to just now go straight to Square as they go down the start-finish straight. He does go a little bit offensive Square, but I don't think it's needed because he's got that straight line speed, as the WOR admin said, and you've quite rightly said as well.
Just watching this, the top speeds actually coming down the straight, it was very similar with Elite momentarily, but this could just be Square in conservative mode again, thinking about that ERS, which Alfie has less of at this moment in time, as we're running to the top of 7th gear, and then engine braking slightly into turns 4 and 5. He's thinking about this Square. He knows he's not quite got the downforce underneath him, so he just needs to apply pressure down the straight and go from there.
Yeah, he's very, very wide. I think that's through 8 there, and 7 and 8, and losing a lot of time to Alfie. Alfie starting to pull away a little bit through this second sector, and Elite getting very close to the back end of that Alpine once again. Has a little look, a very late look, maybe just to put Square off a little bit. Maybe a bit of mind games coming into Elite. He obviously wants to finish second on track, maybe even first.
Yeah, it's got a really aggressive driving style, I have noticed, since watching him. And, well, he's got a penalty to his name, of course, so I'm not sure Square is too off-putted by that at this moment in time, as Harvey makes an earlier pit stop, as does Clenzo. They're going to try and undercut themselves into this race on the medium tyres.
Yeah, there's another couple of drivers who did that the lap before as well. Plackey and Wilson, I think, are the two that have pitted early. The other two that have pitted early, and these guys, you know, in the lead, have got to wonder about that, because the undercut is quite strong here.
Yeah, it is, of course, because there's pretty high degradation on the soft tyres. As we know, there's a tendency for them to overheat when you're pushing for consecutive laps, that's for sure. So, yeah, I don't disagree with that decision for an early switch onto the mediums at all. Will we see, though, Alfie react, Square react, and indeed all of the top 5 out in front on those soft tyres, as Connor also on the softs down in P9, picking up his second 3-second penalty in this race. It's not looking good to the AlphaTauri driver.
It's not. But Findium and Leopard, though, have changed places. There's a little bit of a back end wobble again from Square, and again Alfie pits, but that's left Square maybe in a little bit of a problem for Elite, because he's got the DRS open obviously, but no slipstream. But it looks like it's safe. Has a little look up the inside from Elite there on Square, but nothing doing. And Findium now leading Leopard in the medium runners, and has another opportunity here to do something that neither Alfie Square had thought of.
Absolutely, I'm quite intrigued in this battle with Findium and Leopard, of course, on the alternate strategy. Took a punt at Leopard being in P11 at the start of this race, but Findium now as well. Remember, he's in strong championship contention, just 4 points behind Alfie and 18 points behind the now vacant from the tier Shadow as well. So a man in the championship fight. Findium, the lead medium runner, very crucial at this stage, and his teammate PSR Square out in front on the racetrack and fighting for a win himself. This is all going to come together later on in the race. Square just navigates the curbs very smoothly. Those tyres not looking too healthy at this stage, as he now makes his way into the pits with a big rear lockup to go with it.
Yeah, let's go on board with Alfie and see what he can do. He's 1.9 seconds in front of Harvey. His outlap had to be special to make sure he keeps the lead, keeps everything nice and tight. And Alfie rounding the final corner now. He's going down the start-finish straight. Has the Alpine left its box? I think it has, but I don't think it's going to be anywhere near Alfie at the end of it. And is the Ferrari going to get close to him? I don't think he is, but he has passed Elite. Harvey's trick has worked, but look at the background. There's a gaggle of cars. Colenso trying to go up the inside of Elite, but there's just not going to be enough. And poor Buraps at the back of it isn't going to have any of it either. And Colenso's actually run wide and allowed Moritz to go through.
Yeah, what a great battle there. And Harvey, crucially, getting himself up into net third in this race. Moritz as well, now right behind the Red Bull, who is filling in a Ferrari sandwich. And with the penalty as well, Ferrari now looking even better in this race. And Colenso picking up a penalty on the exit of turn 6, and Elite picking up another one. We mentioned penalties, and all of a sudden everyone gets them. Of course. Welcome to Mexico, and welcome to the commentator's curse.
Yeah, Alfie has pulled himself up a massive lead again, 1.6 seconds from Square, and I don't think Harvey currently has enough to challenge Square too much. That straight line speed in the Alpine is huge. Let's go on board with Alfie as he's getting very close. Oh, is that John? Sorry, into the pits. Has he made a mistake? No, it's showing me a different camera angle. So Alfie passed JJHN and now up close to his teammate. I wonder if Matthew will let his WR compadre through.
Well, I certainly don't think it's going to be too difficult. He'll offer his teammate a bit of a slipstream here. Or will he? As Matthew immediately pulls to the left-hand side. Yeah, that wasn't too difficult, although Alfie may have felt the effects of dirty air through the first 3 corners, the double chicane, if you like, as Colenso now fighting away with Placky, and that is because he's left the session. So I'm going to offer him that crucial invite back. And yes, it's gone from penalty to disconnect for Colenso. Awful.
Not what he would have wanted at all. Square then pulling away a little bit from Harvey. This is not what Harvey would have wanted. He would have wanted the DRS to protect him from the attack from Elite behind. Obviously, Elite has that 6 seconds, but it's not something you want at all. Still, we're, lap 13 of 36 here. We're just about to enter lap 14, I believe, with Leopard leading the way from Findium. He's back through as well. So those two swap places twice, and we haven't seen it. Jack passed Colenso, and that's unfortunate for him. Let's go on board with Square, as that is side by side for Square past JJHN, and there is now though starting to be a bigger gap, and Square's caught in traffic. Oh, and nearly clips the back end of Matthew. That's not good at all. Goes a bit too deep into turn 1.
He does, and Moritz getting through on Elite as well. So now the Ferraris can work together to still contend for maybe a single podium, maybe a double podium. Here goes Square as Matthew is looking to back him off as much as humanly possible. Going now into turn 6, he's parking his Haas on the apex, allowing Alfie to streak clear by over 2 seconds at this point. It's allowed, it's fair, but he can't overstep the limit. Matthew, he can't brake check, we all know that, but he's doing a great job at assisting his teammate Alfie in his hunt for the championship.
There is no dive from Square into 12. He knows this is going to cost him massively. He's just got to get to the line, but look behind him. Moritz has passed Harvey as well. That was something that happened into turn 4, I think. And Harvey, while getting the undercut, has not been too powerful since then. Moritz has got real great straight line speed in the end, and look at that in the foreground. Findium, Mel and Leopard swapping places. Square past Matthew, but it's 2.6 seconds between the Alpine and the lead Haas car.
Great battling out in front. Couple of position changes there, but Alfie is already right on the back of them. And, well, now this leaves Findium and Co. About a pit stop behind at this stage. But will we see a 2-stop maybe considered by the front runners? Quite sure how far those mediums can go. It's always seemingly changed across the F1 games to me, but perhaps my knowledge of the game is just that limited. I don't understand how four wheels work.
Alfie desperate to get past because Square is catching. It's 2.1 seconds at the moment, and look at this. Alfie is literally pushing LCR Leopard around this track, and Square is catching. Matthew is falling further back, and I don't think you can separate these guys by a piece of paper. Alfie already up the inside of Leopard. He's not hanging around. He's desperate to get these moves done, but Leopard is fighting back. He's got better straight line speed.
Yes, the slipstream helping him out there as well. He has so much more ERS to play with than Alfie, who as it stands would move just 2 points behind the championship leader. Shadow, of course, not here. He'll fancy a podium or better. He's after the win, of course, here to extend his championship lead significantly over the rest of the active chasing pack. Will Leopard go down the inside of Melanie? Alfie goes around the outside of Leopard, and on the inside into turn 5. It's a great opportunistic move from Alfie. That's what he needs as he slices through this top 4.
That was a perfect camera angle for a really, really great move from Alfie, and just slid past a great driver of Leopard as well. But Alfie still trying to get through Mel. Not an easy customer as Mel. Will Alfie dive up the inside into 12? He's thinking about it. He does. Alfie up the inside and dispatches of Mel because he sees Square catching to the back of Leopard.
What a great move from Alfie, of course. Melanie, in the end, he just opened up the steering, allowed the space for Alfie. He knows he's not fighting that battle. And now on the back of Findium, the man just 4 points behind Alfie in the championship, and a pit stop behind in this race. Findium yet to stop. Alfie has been on these medium tyres for 5 laps as he pulls to the right-hand side. And before the braking zone, Alfie edges in front. And that will be, at this stage, perhaps a little bit bitter to Findium because, yeah, obviously, like I said, he's a pit stop behind.
Yeah, not what he would have wanted, but he's got his own race to run. He's just got to keep his head straight and not let it get about him. But Leopard has pit on that to a set of softs. Interesting strategy from Leopard. That's a little bit early, I think, mate, but I should still get to the end with relative ease for him on those softs. And look in the background again, Mel now doing his job to hold up Square. I mean, it's not intentional in any way, shape or means, but you know, you can't overtake in these areas. And Square, I think, getting a little bit frustrated with this back mark. He's going up the inside into turn 12 and dispatches pretty quickly.
Yes, Square's been hit pretty unluckily by these defences, particularly the one involving Matthew. But back to Leopard, of course, who's just put on the soft tyres. I think this could be leaning now towards a 2-stop strategy, not only for him, but of course our main front runners in this race as well. I don't see Soft doing 16 laps or so, more than that, 18 laps or so, particular ease. As Square gets past Findium, but yeah, back to the soft tyres. I don't think so.
Yeah, I was reading I was reading it as 28 laps, not 36.
Fine, no.
That's what this race feels like. It's been hammer and tong for these guys continually for so long. It makes it feels like this action's been going on for ages, but I suppose that's a good thing about it. Elite gets past Matthew in P8. He's struggling a little bit now on those hard tyres, but I mean, it's an odd tyre choice to go on for Elite, but he's definitely going to the end.
Yeah, he is, and I think he's got to, with the 9 seconds of penalties in consideration, he's just got to try and make it up with track position rather than being aggressive and trying something different, because he's already lost a lot of ground already. As Matthew crashes out, how big could this be? Will a safety car come out at the halfway point of the race? Yes, it will. As Alfie now comes into the pits.
Straight into the pits, and Findium. Oh no! 5 seconds for Alfie. That's huge. Findium then goes into the pits. He's going to be held. Square is going to have a massive chance here. Moritz stays out. Harvey pits. Everyone pits apart from Elite and Moritz. Moritz kind of has to. 5 seconds penalty for Burraps for collision with Harvey. Wow, there's a lot of drivers into the pits. Jack will probably be pitting as well. Is there a damage to Burraps? Is that something we can see? There is no damage, thankfully, for him. Is there anything on Harvey's car? It doesn't look like it. But soft running for Square, Leopard, Mel, Findium, well, everyone apart from Alfie and Harvey, who've pit and Placky, sorry, I've decided to go for a set of softs. That's a strong case there.
Oh, so much more to dive into now. Suddenly, the safety car dropping into the running, and Alfie, who was so close. If that safety car had come out just 2 seconds later or so, Alfie wouldn't have been able to come into the pits. Very fortunate timing, you have to say, and well, he does deserve it as the race leads. Unfortunately, though, the 5-second penalty, perhaps just a little bit lazy on sight, coming into the pit lane, of course, as he scrambles to change tyres, change downforce, whatever he needs to do in the pit stop at such short notice. It's easy to get caught out and pick up a 5-second penalty. That leaves Square with an opportunity. That leaves Leopard with an opportunity. And, well, even Findium down in 7th at the moment, but with his championship rival with a 5-second penalty, he'll really be licking his lips here.
Will those, we mentioned whether those softs would last a couple of laps ago for Leopard. I mean, they're going to be stinging at the end of this race. I mean, that race will then sort of fall back into the hands of Harvey and Alfie.
Yes, I should think so. Obviously, we were talking just a couple of laps ago, 18 laps or so on the softs is ambitious, but a few laps under the safety car, realistically, we're talking about maybe 14 laps or so, and if they're fresh, it's probably doable on the soft tyres. But of course, a lot of qualifying laps go in, doesn't leave everyone necessarily with a fresh set, so this could be questioning punctures here, as we so often do at tracks like Mexico. This is hard to pinpoint.
Yeah, it's going to be crazy. All it takes is one mistake. I mean, all it took is one mistake, and a safety car came out. Another safety car could still come out, could cost someone. Moritz, Elite still have yet to pit. I mean, Elite had to stay out, to be honest, with those hard tyres. He was, with the penalties and everything, he was in a little bit of a rock and a hard place moment for him. Unfortunate for the Red Bull driver. Let's have a quick look at the penalties. He's on 9 seconds, so that is an unfortunate amount.
It's, yeah, I think that will come with time for Elite at the top level. No, I've mentioned it already, but penalties proved a bit of an issue coming into this race. He's so good on 1 lap pace. He didn't qualify P3 for a reason. Sorry, he did qualify P3 for a reason. What am I on about? But yeah, of course, penalties seeping into his racecraft a little bit. We'll line out with time, like I say.
Yeah, so safety car is still out. That could very well be because of Harvey being so far back. And is that Leopard going into the pits? It is. Interesting choices. Another set of softs for him. He's going to have, well, these are going to be nicer softs than anyone else, but he's got a lot of work to do. And an awful lot of work to do.
Yeah, they certainly weren't going to the end, those soft tyres that he had on originally. If he was going for that 2-stop strategy anyway, it could have been a mistake for all we know. Might have intended hards, might have intended another set of mediums before a late dash onto the softs in a circumstance like this. We'll never know, but yeah, certainly Leopard now on the back foot through really much fault of his own. It seems he's driven a great race, as he has done at Mexico in the previous season, of course, and yeah, now work to do, but know what he's capable of.
Now, it looks like in the chat, Alfie's bottled. People are saying Alfie's bottled. I'm not 100% sure that's the case, but it depends how long this safety car stays out. The longer it stays out, the more it helps the soft runners, and the more it helps the soft runners, the less chance Alfie has.
Of course, we have to remember Square and his nimble Alpine in terms of straight line speed will be pressuring Alfie heavily coming into turn 1, like he was, of course, on the opening lap. It's going to be a pretty similar remake of that, if you like. The safety car is coming in this lap. Viper still to catch up, but Burt Mylander has had enough. We go racing on lap 22.
Now, how does Moritz restart this race? Does he slow down massively? This is huge for him, huge for his race, and not only for his, for everyone else's as well. Look how close Elite gets to it. Oh, he tries to go up the inside, and that is crucial because that's cost him.
Or it has the skirmish on the exit as well as racing resumes in Mexico City. Square's got a great restart equally with Alfie as Alfie looks to now pull to the right hand side. That's if he can get close enough. Square certainly can't, so it's going to stay as it was. But yeah, Elite, fortunate not to get a penalty there for his added trouble as Alfie has a little look. Square trying to follow suit. Alfie a bit deep into turn 3 on the medium tyres as the softs warm up a little bit nicer at this stage.
Findian right behind Harvey as well. Could very well make the move on the Ferrari driver, but
Whoa.
it doesn't in the end. Square and Alfie still battling away. The softs he's got to use the softs and quickly to make sure he gets the best of those lives, and there's too much action going on.
Yeah, there is. It was a really good effort, to be fair, by Square, but Alfie positioned his Haas perfectly, leaving a car's width, but just not enough in terms of the racing line for Square to have a go on. As Elite picks up his 4th penalty of the race. They're really coming in thick and fast now. No coincidence with his driving style at this moment in time, as Alfie, who tried it on at turn 1, on the previous lap on the restart, have to go again to try and keep Square at bay.
Yeah, Square already trying to make the move, going down the start-finish straight. They're side by side as they do that. Elite doesn't know which car to defend first, and I think Alfie's going to lose a position to Square here, and I think Square is possibly going to take Elite if he can hold this up around the outside and then into the inside of turn 3. Ooh,
Alfie tried the cutback. Alfie has tried the cutback, just grazed the rear diffuser of the Alpine as he goes again. Square defends. Alfie's got to try the middle. Elite breaks late. Square breaks late. Alfie has to try and go the long way round now on Elite. So much action to get our teeth into as Elite ultimately ghosts after a bit of contact. I think he was just pinched on that turn 5 apex. Yeah,
there's a lot of action going on there. Alfie knows he had to keep with Square as well. Mel trying to get in on the action. He's had a great, very, very quiet, but great race nonetheless. Wilson trying to attack Harvey as well. We can't forget that these mediums will start to come into the race a little bit, maybe lap 30, to attack back at these soft runners.
It's really good going from Melanie all of a sudden. We were talking about his best result, P4, earlier on. He's currently net P3 with the penalties to Elite and to Alfie as well. DRS now enabled, not immediately on this start-finish straight, as here comes Square now, out in front as he overtakes PSR teammate Moritz for the lead of this race on track. Yeah, there's so much going on as well. In the background, Wilson trying to get past Harvey, and it doesn't work. Harvey's straight line speed was phenomenal at that point of view. Wilson actually now gets the move done as soon as I go away from the camera of that battling. He goes away. Viper's lost it as well. Is that another safety car? It is. Exactly what we were sort of anticipating with this tightened up field. And, well, the soft runners have certainly had a wish come true, so they can start managing these tyres more towards, well, in this period, of course, and focusing on the end of the race. But the medium runners won't like this at all. It's more time for the soft runners to have a better chance of going to the end. Less puncture talk now, of course. And Alfie with a 5-second penalty. The field bunches up again. Does not look good. Double trouble. Yeah, not great for Alfie at all. And I wonder if there's going to be a pit for this man, Moritz. He's kept on those mediums, and are they going to have enough life in them? Is that Alfie into the pits? It is. Alfie's getting rid of that 5 seconds and fresh tyres. Yeah, to be honest, I do the same. And Elite, another 5-second penalty to his name. It is really race over now, coming into the pits as well. Medium tyres to go with it. There is no way back for that man, Alfie. Serving his 5-second time penalty. He's going to see Elite and maybe Clenzo go past him. No, sorry, they've just come into their pit box, but yeah, Alfie certainly being out in P14. Yeah, behind Elite, he's going to have to dispatch that Red Bull in front of him, and I mean, he is on a set of mediums, but we've seen how quick Elite is. Yeah, Elite certainly in these sorts of situations I know will thrive. If one lap pace is anything to go by, a sprint sort of scenario like this, um, without those penalties, he'd fancy his chances somewhat in this race. But 17 seconds to his name, none of which most likely can be removed. Such is the nature of Mexico, unless he's picked up double, triple warnings through some strange glitch. Yeah, Elite's going to be pretty angry with himself, that's for sure. But of course, debut race, nothing to be too disheartened about, and knows how much he can learn from it.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Another safety car stint then. And, you know, these Square, Mel, Wilson, all with a great chance of moving on. I'm surprised I didn't see Harvey pop into the pits to throw on a fresh set of softs as well. But he's gone for this strategy and he's going to stick with it. So fair play to him. But, you know, Mel in a podium position. This is great for him.
It is, and Moritz on the medium tyres as well. At this stage, the softs are still going to be better. So there's a real shot at P2 here for Melanie, and how he just loved that. Behind him, Wilson with a penalty to his name. Harvey as well on the medium tyres. To be honest, the pressure from behind isn't as much as the opportunity going forward. And for a driver like Melanie, who's come into this season, perhaps not expecting too much, not yet to pick up a podium. Now's his best opportunity as we reach the second half of the season to move up the championship as well.
Yeah, let's while the safety car is out, we're not expecting anything major to change. Let's have a look at these standings again. He is on 41 points, same amount of points as Matthew, and you know, if he gets past Moritz, likely is he's going to overtake him as well, and Zach Oates, who's just ahead of him. So, you know, this is big for Mel. He can claim a fair few places in the standings, exactly what he would have wanted, and you know, maybe he could challenge Square for the victory, and that would be, I don't want to say unheard of, but you know, he would be over the moon with that.
Yeah, and when we consider tyre wear as well, we know Square is running that lightly rear-ended Alpine, whereas Melanie's perhaps gone for a more conservative setup, hoping to get himself to the end of the race, which he's doing well, you have to say. And now he's got the opportunity to really fight for the victory here, as the safety car will peel in for a second time in quick succession.
Yeah, what can the PSR guys do? They've had two good races in a row, these two. Where does Square go? Where does Moritz go? Where does Mel go? Well, Square is leaving it late. Let's see from his point of view. There he is. He's gone. Moritz is not hanging around, but Wilson having a really good run on Mel as they come down the start-finish straight. Harvey's had a great run as well, but this could end up badly, but it's great for viewership right now. Mel's lost the position to Wilson, but he should have the inside line coming into turn one. Will there be anything about it? There is not. He loses the position to Wilson, and he could lose it to Harvey as well. Harvey's had a great run from the safety car restart, and he has done. He's lost the position to the Ferrari, and Mel, you know, all that talk of going to be good, and I think we've jinxed him.
Oh, hang on a moment as he looks down the inside at turn 4. I thought surely not. He'll fight back there on Harvey, who is a great race, you have to say, Harvey, as he's now up into a net podium position. Wilson on the back of Moritz, just proving how those medium tyres are a bit out of sync with this race situation at the moment, if that's the correct term to use. Wilson fighting his hardest through the S section. Another yellow flag, and it's Alfie! It's Alfie who's left the session after a spin, and surely he's going to lose the position in the championship now to Findeyum, maybe even Harvey. Certainly Harvey, and certainly Findeyum. I rephrase that totally.
Yeah, there was something that went on in the background there. I was watching it, but could barely keep up with it as Wilson dispatches Moritz with relative ease. Here comes Harvey to attack his Tier 2 driver challenger last season, and there's another car that's retired, the yellow flag in the pits. Alfie's car's going in as well. Harvey and Mel keeping in the same positions at the moment. Harvey could be on for a really good race here.
Back-to-back non-finishes for Alfie, that is worth mentioning, and whilst Harvey is in P4, whilst Findeyum is P6, both positions at the moment is enough to elevate them above Alfie, And so the championship is just starting to slip away from Alfie. I'm sure he can fight back in the remaining 6 or so rounds of this season. After Mexico City this evening, he's joined back. There's perhaps still something to fight for. One more safety car and all the penalties for Clenzo, Elite, JJ, Placky, and of course Wilson could offer something in terms of a point. But surely it's just starting to slip away from the man who looks so comfortable to go on and win this thing after Shadow's departure.
Yeah, that is crazy. Square is just going to run away with it, but Wilson's going to try and catch at the best of times. Harvey then against his teammate, but he does have Mel for company as well. Those softs still got a little bit of life left in them at the moment. No DRS activated coming down into the start-finish straight. Mel again moves to the inside of turn 1, but Harvey is not having any of it. Deep into turn 2, and Harvey continues to be ahead of this Aston Martin. But for how much longer can Harvey keep Mel behind him?
This, of course, is for the net podium position as it stands, as Melanie goes the long way round at turn 4. He's got the inside into turn 5. The flying Finn. Melanie, who has another Finn just behind for company. Up the inside now at turn 6. Couple of occasions of wheel banging there, but it's well fought and well earned by Melanie, who's now up into the net 3rd position. Or is he? As the 3-second gap just starts to open up between him and WOR Wilson at this stage. It's going to be so tight to the finish.
It is. Wilson's dispatched the people off at the right times and just built that gap a little bit. Mel has got a lot of work to do. He's got to still pull away from Harvey. Harvey on those mediums, I said about 30 will come to life. I'm going to stay in comparison to the softs, probably about lap 34 now, which is going to make an incredible end to this Grand Prix if everything keeps going. Findium attacking Harvey very, very strongly into and down the start-finish straight. Harvey allows him to have the outside line and can't really defend from the flying fin of Findium.
This is so crucial. Just 1 point separate Findium and Harvey in this championship. Findium on 81, Harvey on 80. So now Findium will go clear in the lead of this championship as it stands. Well, if you disclude Shadow at this moment in time, that is, of course. But Moritz has now been overtaken by Melanie, who's now up into 3rd on the racetrack, and crucially, within the 3 seconds he needs to finish P2 in this race. Suddenly, after going down to P5, he's back in contention for that P2 finish.
Yeah, Mel, he's just got to do what he's got to do. It's 2.6. Agonisingly close between him and Wilson at the moment. But what a drive from Wilson. Barely spoken about him all race long. Similar to Mel. And in with a great chance. But that's not going to help Mel. His back end snaps at turn 14 and 15 there. And he managed to hold it quite well. But Moritz really struggling on those really used mediums now.
He is, and Findium opens his DRS. More points to his tally if he can get this one done. Moritz to the middle of the track, now picking up a nice slipstream from Melanie is Findium, and it's a thin fight for P3 on the racetrack. This is exciting. I'm sure plenty of respect between these two wise heads. And this is exciting now. Who is going to get on the podium in Mexico City?
Oh, it's going to be an interesting one. VSR Jack and M Racer swapping positions. Great recovery drive from VSR Jack, to be honest, not being in the lobby until quite late on. With the disconnect and everything, and he's forced his way back into contention. Mel dropping away from WR Wilson. There's Leopard retiring. He's had an incident with FRA Elite and possibly Trudy as well.
And it's a safety car. Would you believe it? The 3rd safety car in the second half of this race. And Alfie, who joined back after, throwing the dummy a little bit, not to be disrespectful, but he left straight away after what seemed to be a spin, has now got shot at points in this race. A late safety car.
Poor Wilson with that time penalty. He moved away from Mel. And Findium and Mel now definitely sitting on those points. Harvey and Moritz as well, sticking out on those mediums, and such a shame for those guys. The safety car Lux has not gone his way at all. Couple of pit stops for Trudy, Clenzo, and Elite there in the background. Does Alfie pop in as well? He's on a set of used mediums at the moment. His AI decided to pit him when he left. Let's have a look. We will... The least we'll have is 2 laps of racing. So very interesting. No DRS. We won't have any DRS to the end of this Grand Prix.
It's going to be pure, it's going to be aggressive, it's going to be very old school. And obviously Mexico, not, you know, it's been around on the calendar. It was introduced, I believe, back in the 80s, but it was far before my time. Old circuit, we're going to have some old school racing to go with it. And Alfie does go into the pit lane, but he's on 11 lap old soft. And
wow.
Yeah, I think he had a choice over that. So unfortunately for Alfie, his singular opportunity to get some points, he still could, when you consider the penalties. He's not going to be able to get much higher than maybe 1 or 2 points here today on those 11 lap old soft tyres. However, he'll take anything he can find.
Well, we might see him pit again to get onto the other set of softs he had available. That is the other possibility he had. But let's have a look at the standings that is going on. And just to remind you all, currently Shadow leads the way, but Findium, in his current position, is looking like he could, I think, equal that
90...
if he finishes second.
Finish third, but second will equal. So we'll look to get past Melanie.
So, I wonder if the Finns have a secret handshake that they'll do to allow them each other the positions or whatever. You never know. They are cool as you like, but let's go back to looking at this. And you know, Alfie needs whatever points he can get. Harvey currently in P6. He probably would want to dispatch his teammate quite quickly from the safety car restart so he could catch up. Let's go on board with Alfie, actually. Does he re-pit? He does.
He's got a long way to catch up, though. And so this could either be a retirement or another stab on fresher, soft compounded tyres as he pulls into his pit box. There are softs waiting for him, and they are fresh. So he's got 45 seconds or so, now 48. And of course climbing all the time when he's restricted to 50 miles an hour. Such a long way to catch up. I don't think he's going to quite make it. And thus, he'll finish down in P40.
Safety car is in this lap.
Yeah, he's retired.
That is not what he wanted at all, and such a shame for him. But let's go on board. And what does Square do this time? What does he do differently to the time before when he had the safety car restart? He's going, heating up those tyres as best as possible. Wilson's not letting him have the whole track like he would have usually done. And there, it's very, very late going, and Wilson was desperate to make a move, but it's just not enough. Wilson has some incredible pace here tonight, and he's attacking Square from the off, and he could very well take the lead of this Grand Prix going into turn 1.
Will leave Square vulnerable perhaps to an attack from the likes of Melanie and Findium as well. Square runs in a bit deep, trying to preserve the lead on the racetrack. Of course, Wilson going for it. May feel he has grounds to appeal that penalty, of course. So don't jump to conclusion just yet, folks. Here he goes down the inside at turn 4. Goes WOR Wilson. There's going to be a slight bit of contact. I don't think so. I think they've just about avoided it. However, into turn 5, Square positions his car nicely, keeps the lead of the race, and with 2.5 laps to go, it's still Square out in front.
Yeah, Square somehow holding off. Wilson's had an absolute massive charge on him in the Mercedes, and it's just not been enough. But I'm not going to count out Wilson yet. He's showed some incredible pace, and he's going to show it again, I am sure. Mel and Findium just waiting behind, just seeing if there is anything they can do to pick off the bones of this. Elite unfortunately picks up another penalty. Jack and Placky changing places in the background, and I think Colenzo's getting involved in that as well. We'll have to wait and see. Jack's retired. No, that is, I didn't see what's happened, but we're down to 12 drivers. Here comes WR Wilson. I don't think he's going to be close enough to Square this time of asking. And in the background, M-Racer is attacking Harvey as well. Will Wilson do a dive up the inside into turn 1? He thinks better off it, but he is still close to the back end of Square on the penultimate lap here.
Just going back to that incident with VSR Jack, he was on the left-hand side, he was on the racing line, and it was a 3-wide moment. He was pinched into the left-hand side wall on the exit of turn 15, the small kink heading into the penultimate corner as we know it. But wow, that's so unfortunate for Jack. It was looking like a great little race, great little scrap back there as well. But Square now builds up his lead to about 5/10. There is going to be DRS, I believe, on the final lap. So he'll look to pull away as much as possible. There'll be 2 opportunities, I believe, for Wilson to try and make it work, finish in the lead on track. We'll have to see if he has grounds to appeal that penalty or not. Melanie still in 3rd, holding on nicely. Finds in 4th. Moritz and Harvey in 5th and 6th as Clenzo's up the inside of M-Racer. 6 seconds and 3 seconds respectively. Contact on the exit, as we've just seen there. I think Clenzo has been involved with both of those, but don't quote me, as DRS is enabled for the very final lap.
Yeah, look at the background there. I think that's Colenso and M-Racer again, is it? No, sorry, it's Elite and Placky. Plenty going on, but I don't think Wilson. I think Wilson's used. He's spent. He can't attack Square anymore, and Mel and Findium are just waiting in the wings to get that place on track. But crazily, we've lost 8 drivers tonight. We are on the final lap here, and Wilson, well, what drive he's shown tonight to get himself back into that position, really attack Square as well, but it looks like Square is now pulling away with relative ease. It's a second gap now as he goes through his slowest sector compared to everyone else, which is that second sector, which has caused him problems earlier on in the race. But it's such a shame for some of the drivers that have lost out tonight, especially recently Jack, that's just had that problem at the end, which you commentated over. But Wilson tries to catch up, but I don't think it's going to be enough. Square is coming home through turn 16 and 17. He's going to win this race. It's a race of what could have been, and he's done it in pretty good style in the end. Mel comes home in 2nd, and to round out the finished drivers there is Findium in 3rd. What a crazy, crazy race we've had tonight.
Absolutely. Well done to PSR Square then, taking back-to-back race victories then. The only other driver to do that this season is Shadow. Is that a good omen for a late championship charge for VSR Square? He's gained significantly. In fact, I believe he's just 2 points behind Alfie at this point. So that has just shown you how much he has closed up by these back-to-back race victories, where Alfie has not scored a single point. Absolutely massive for this championship. And of course, finding him up on the podium, he's now just 3 points, I want to say, behind Shadow in order to actually take the lead of the championship. Yes, such a big night once again, as it was in Bahrain. It's PSR Square, the winner. Yeah,
so Square, 2 stopping from 2nd on the grid, takes victory with Mel and Findium in 2nd and 3rd places, rounding out the podiums there. 4th was Moritz, Harvey in 5th, 6th going to Wilson, 7th to M-Racer, Placky in 8th, 9th to 2D, Colenso in 10th, rounding out the point scoring position. Nothing for JJ, no points for JJ and Elite as they do finish the race, but non-finishing for Jack, Alfie, Leopard, Buraps, Viper, Matthew, Connor, and Dark Killer. Wow. That's a crazy end to the race, and let's take a little bit of a chill. We definitely got one driver in ready and waiting for the interview, and I'm really looking forward to this one. To see, I haven't spoken to him for a long time, so this will be nice. Mel, welcome to the podium sitting questions. I mean, you must be over the moon with finally claiming a podium in WR Tier 1.
Yeah, I mean, that was just crazy at the end there. Nearly slipped away, but yeah, it's a bit messy to have that one podium now.
So, I mean, did you ever think 2nd was on the cards? Early doors while you were competitive. Alfie and Square and a lot of those drivers just out in front, and then obviously that first safety car. Talk us through how you felt.
Yeah, to be well, the strategy was sort of leading on the safety car, and then it sort of happened a bit too early. So me and Fintan were in the party together, so we were sort of thinking if other stuff's gonna last, and then luckily there was a couple more safety cars to sort of work that over then.
Joseph, over to you.
Yeah, first of all, congratulations! What a brilliant result for you. And I was just talking. You've had obviously people argue lucky results in a couple of P4 finishes this season, but now you're on the podium. Is there a message you want to send out? Sometimes you have to create your own luck. Does that sound good to you?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely comes in waves. Like when you have bad luck, you have a lot of bad luck, and then it sort of evens out at some point. So hopefully, I'm not gonna have a big wave of bad luck now, but it's been working well now. Very fun.
Absolutely. Congratulations to you once again.
Thanks.
Fantastic. Thank you, Mel. And we're going to go to Findium now. And Finn, well, I mean, what a crazy race. And at any time, did you expect to get into the podium there?
No.
Obviously, it was a tough race. The first stint felt really tough for you. You get overtaken by Alfie. I think Joseph mentioned that it must have been a gutter punch. You obviously not pitting, and Alfie's already pitted and overtaken you. What was your plan at that point?
I didn't really have a plan because in qualifying that was not planned at all to start P15 or even on the mediums. I was just messed up qualifying. So yeah, but I was in a party with Mel through the whole race, so we could work together there a bit. But yeah, just trying to keep the tires alive and work together to keep the others behind.
Was there any thought of overtaking Mel at the end to try and claim extra points?
No, there was too much action in front of us. I was just happy to sit there, take the podium.
Joseph, over to you.
I can't lie, I love this finish excellence. Well done to you, first of all. I think you're now just 3 points off obviously departed Shadow now. You've missed 2 races this season as well. Do you really, really think this is in your hands now, that you've got the quote-unquote net lead of this championship?
I don't know, it's too early to say. I go out there to win every race, so we'll see how it goes. And yeah, the one that has the most points in the end wins.
I love it. The beautifully finished response after a well-finished race. No, that was awful. I'm sorry. Take it back, Water.
As cool as you like from Finn and Mel so far. Congratulations for you two for what an incredible race that was. But we are going to get the race winner for a second week in a row. Wow. Square. I mean, wow. What to talk us through that race for you.
Well, yeah, it was very chaotic, that one, I can't lie. It was so hard to kind of read what was going on with obviously the safety cars, all sorts that were going on. It was hard to really tell where my position was. I think the first safety car really came out at the right time, obviously meaning that I could just stretch those softs to easily make it to the end. It was going to be a bit of a push otherwise. And then obviously the second safety car kind of didn't really affect the race too much, just because not many people pitted. But yeah, it was just a really crazy race. I mean, really happy with the win, really.
There was a point in the race when Alfie had started pulling away before all the safety cars, and it took you a lap to overtake the other Haas car. How frustrated were you getting by seeing that the back end of a Haas?
Well, I knew that he'd probably put up quite a bit of a challenge. Obviously, they're both in WOR esports, so I had a feeling they'd probably try and work together. But obviously, that's fair enough. They are teammates, so. But yeah, it did hinder me a bit. But I felt I did just have that slight edge, maybe 1/10 or something, on Alfie through the whole race. Obviously, it was really hard to really tell whether that was true, but it felt like it. So, yeah, I wasn't too frustrated because I knew that if I played it right, I probably would be able to catch back up. But obviously the safety cars just made my life 10 times easier, really, with obviously bunching the pack back up. And then I think Alfie made the wrong strategy call with the mediums and then obviously getting the penalty as well. So, yeah, but everything went well for me, which I'm happy about. Obviously, I just did my job and then kind of capitalised on other people's misfortunes.
I mean, your straight line speed today was absolutely phenomenal. Now, I don't think anyone really could keep up with that. Did you find, well, we noticed a few times the back end stepping out. Was that, I'm guessing that must have been part of the plan.
Well, the setup I was running was quite an oversteery setup, which was lower rear wing than front wing. So it obviously it was a bit of a challenge through the middle sector, things like that. But to be honest, I don't know whether it looked it on the stream, but it didn't feel that quick in a straight line, really. But I guess maybe it looked a bit different on the stream. But yeah, I think everything I did was right, and yeah, I think it was a good race all round.
Joseph?
Yeah, first of all, congratulations, Square. I mean, pretty much been nabbed there. I was going to talk about your straight line speed. Phenomenal as always. I'm going to talk about the championship though, because that's the obvious thing. I think you moved just 2 points now behind WOR Alfie, who about 2 weeks ago, you were around 60 or so points back, I want to say, maybe even more than that. So just how happy are you with the back-to-back race victories, and how do you fancy your chances, certainly in a season that you've missed a fair portion of?
Yeah, of course, I've got to look at the championship, but obviously I probably will miss races in the future as well, which obviously isn't going to help. But yeah, I'll just see how it goes. We are still quite a long way away from the end of the season, so I think if I'm still there or thereabouts with maybe 3 rounds left, then I'll probably start looking at that. But for the time being, I'm just going into each race with a fresh mind and just trying to get the best result I can in each race, really.
Great to hear. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much.
Fantastic. Well, congratulations, you three. You've put on a hell of a fight tonight and given us some incredible action for the only race of WOR until Sunday. The Tier 1 PC side restarts there. They're all on a break week, but we thought we'd give you action tonight in front of the challengers for some of these guys to, Finn. So good luck for tomorrow. I think it is tomorrow for yourself. But yeah, so there is plenty of action coming on Sunday from the PC side of things. Thank you very much for Joseph for stepping into the comms box with me again. This time, the microphone worked on my side. But final words from yourself on this one and this incredible Mexican Grand Prix.
Yeah, thoroughly enjoyed it. Of course, a race with 3 safety cars was never going to be dull, was it? And obviously strategy at Mexico always so important. And those 3 safety cars allowed for some really quite dramatic racing at the end there. I'm really, really excited to see what the rest of the season has to offer. Whether I'll be able to be with you in the commentary box for another one, I'm not so sure. But you know that, of course, I'll be watching on very keenly as this championship fight, steps up another gear.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you very much again. But we will close it out now with the thought of Findium very agonisingly close to taking the lead of the championship from Shadow, who has moved to the PC side of things. Alfie couldn't move any further. I think Harvey does go above him in the title fight now as well. But there is a very, very strong challenger emerging in Square as well. For now, we will catch you next week. 2 weeks' time for the next race. I will get it right this time. Goodbye.